Welcome to Lost All Caps, pretty boy.
Did we get the pretty boy in this episode? Because I didn't hear it.
Oh yeah, we did.
Because I thought it was in this episode, but I didn't hear it. I heard the wanker and then I missed pretty boy.
How could you miss pretty boy? It's the best line.
I know.
It's so funny.
I know, but I missed it.
This is where we lose all of our Vampire Diaries fan base. This is where we upset the Vampire Diaries girlies.
I'm sorry, guys.
Look, we don't make the rules.
Listen. He's right though. Like, pretty boy is such a funny insult.
It is a hilarious insult.
And he's if you're gonna call anyone on that island pretty boy.
I mean, yes and no. Yes, because of vibe, but no, because of
vibe is what I'm saying.
His face.
You can't say that. That's mean. Ian, we love you.
Ian, look, you've got enough fans out there. You don't care what I think.
Got enough fans.
I don't think Ian's a listener. I'll be real with you.
Maybe he is. You don't know.
I mean, hey, I don't know. I know. And our podcast could have reached insane heights by now. We're on episode 5.
It's been 5 whole weeks.
I think we're viral.
I think we're probably at 1 million followers by now.
I think we're famous, actually.
Oh, and we're going to look back on this and be like, oh, God, how naive we were. Welcome to Lost All Caps. I am Velvet Hebditch.
I'm Ariel Hebditch.
And this is Season 1, Episode 5, White Rabbit.
Indeed. Don't know why I said that.
And you can't see because you're listening, but I have my White Rabbit earrings on today. I'll show the camera because I thought it was topical.
It's very nice
to have my White Rabbit earrings on.
Mm-hmm. We've had another very busy week, haven't we?
We have. It's been up and down and all over the place.
We went to IKEA yesterday.
I bought a blåhaj, which is how it's pronounced, not blahaj, like most people say it. Which I was very excited about. I felt like, because blåhaj is a trans icon, so I felt it was my rite of passage since coming out to get one. Mm-hmm. And I finally fulfilled that. It's big. It's huge. It's bigger than I remember it being.
It's like almost the same size as you.
It's genuinely.
What do you remember it being?
Because I've when we went before. And
latched onto one.
And when I've seen my friends' ones and stuff. That thing is huge. I slept with it in my bed last night, and genuinely, I was around that thing like a banana boat. It's big. Also, I love IKEA. I'm a big IKEA fan.
Me too.
I had a really good time yesterday. It was great. Mm-hmm. I've had a haircut, which is...
Why did you feel the need to mention the haircut?
Because I'm excited about it. I had a haircut and it's nice and it makes me happy.
No, the real reason is because you get upset if no one notices you've had a haircut.
Also because no one notices when I've had a haircut, but stuff can do two things. What else have we done this week?
We spent a lot of time catching flies in the house.
Yes, we have.
Because it's so hot. We're recording this in the middle of summer. It's so hot. We've had the windows open in the house, which for some reason means that we just have flies everywhere.
Just literally, those things are massive. I'm talking 2 centimeters long.
Size of a 5p piece.
Yeah, massive things all over the house. We're we don't want them around because they're gonna land on our food, they're gonna land on the cat's food, the cat's gonna eat them.
Yeah, but the cat is also useless.
He's so...
Our cat Casper, he loves to watch the flies, but he cannot catch the flies.
If they come near him, he gets scared and he runs upstairs to hide. Yeah. He's completely useless.
So it's down to us with our fucking plastic cup and, receipts or, old letters that say, get your hedge trimmings here. Fucking trying to capture these goddamn flies.
My new technique is just trying to catch them with my bare hands. And
you're actually really good at that.
I have to say it's worked quite a few times. It has.
It's crazy.
It always feels incredibly Jedi to do. I do it and I kind of go in and do a scoop motion, and then when I feel it in my hands, I'm like, oh my god, somebody call Yoda, because oh my gosh.
I've got him on the phone, actually.
Oh my god, I'm your biggest fan, Mr. Yoda. It feels great. I'm not great at it, but I have done it probably 4 or 5 times over the week, which is pretty good.
But a good thing to mention, actually, because there's one in the room with us.
There is one in the room with us right now.
So I think it'd be really funny if it, like, ends up landing on one of the microphones.
Yeah, if you hear a buzzing at any point in the middle of this recording...
Or, like, flies in front of the camera.
There is a fly in the room. So
our first special guest on the podcast.
It is. We should interview him.
We should. What do you think he feels?
I'm assuming.
What do you think
Do flies have genders?
I have no idea.
Do they? I mean, they lay eggs, but don't they all lay eggs?
I don't know if they do lay eggs.
Yeah, isn't that the point? Like, if they land on your food, they lay eggs on it.
No, if they land on your food, they vomit on it, because they don't have stomachs. So the way that they digest stuff is they vomit the digestive fluid, and then it starts digesting in front of them, and then they eat that digestive stuff.
Okay, do flies have genders? I've just googled it. Normally, flies have either 1 or 2 X chromosomes and 2 sets of autosomes. If there is but 1 X chromosome in a diploid cell, the fly is male. If there are 2 X chromosomes in a diploid cell, the fly is female. Okay. So they do have genders. Apparently the female is usually bigger than the male, so maybe we're overrun by queens.
I think we are. And not in a good way.
Not in a good way. Not like the time drag queens came to the house.
We don't need to... Do we need to mention that? People are going to go and find that footage now. We look awful.
I mean, you
Mum
look
looks
better
great.
than I do.
Have
You've seen my haircut in that show.
Have you seen my haircut?
Yeah, but
My fringe is like a diagonal line. It's so wonky.
Yeah, but I that was like peak teen awkward like phase for me, and I curse all the drag gods that happened when I was like 12, because I would think you look better.
It's bad. Don't go and find that footage, please.
So let's talk about the episode.
Yeah, let's move on. So we're on season 1, episode 5, which means a new DVD.
Yes, a new disc. I was actually the first note I've got written down.
Me
It's
too.
about the DVD screen. So if you're watching on a streaming service and not using the DVDs, first of all, you're missing out.
You're missing out on
Because
so
there's
much.
some great bonus features on there that you're not seeing, because it's simply not on YouTube. But a massive feature of the DVDs that I really love is the loading screens.
Yeah.
Because often they're not just static images, they're like little videos.
Yeah.
So on the first disc, it's Jack laying on the floor and you can see him breathing.
The breathing. We know it's my favourite bit.
We know you love the breathing. And then what's the episode's screen? I forget.
I think it's another shot of the bamboo area.
Yeah, I think it's more of like a higher up shot. But this disc is the cockpit, which is really, really cool. It's like shot within the cockpit, and then when you go press episodes, it's like right on the smashed window where the monster comes in and drags the pilot out, and it's really cool.
It does look pretty cool. And on the front cover of this DVD case, we have Kate, as opposed to Jack, who we had before, again in a similarly awkward and ridiculous photo.
Yeah, less awkward, I would say
say
than
too.
Jack's picture,
Yeah.
but they all are, though. My personal favourite is the Series 3 DVD cover, which is just a bunch of tiny cropped images of them all staring down the camera, and I'm like,
It's awful.
buy them brown contacts, please.
Literally. I'm shaking.
I'm shaking. Stop looking at me like that. I don't like it. I want them to back up a bit. They're all really close to the camera.
Yeah.
It's really funny. So I would recommend buying the DVDs, even if you have
Just
access to
for
a streaming
that.
service. I think we don't have access to a streaming that has it on.
No.
But I think even if you do, you should get the DVDs because they're really funny, and there's loads of great bonus features as well. If you're a big fan and you're interested in getting like behind the scenes and, you know, bloopers and all kinds of things like that, there's some great stuff. There's some great stuff on there
Absolutely.
that I really love, and the audio commentary, which we've referenced a lot previously. Which
But you can get the best bits of the audio commentary from us.
yeah,
know,
you can just trust
We
us.
summarise. You can trust me.
I'm nice, I promise. So, this episode is a good episode. I like this episode. I as obviously as a huge Jack fan, I
Yeah.
appreciate this episode. I think some of his later flashback episodes I have a lot of issues with.
To put it mildly.
But this one I actually really like. I think this is, of all of Jack-centric episodes, this might be my favourite.
Ooh, that is a bold statement.
Because I think it established... Actually, there's one later in the series that I really like, actually.
I mean, without even remembering all the Jack-centric episodes off the top of my head, I can confidently say this is not my favourite of them.
Yeah, no, actually, there's another episode in this series that I think is probably my favourite Jack episode. But this is high on there.
Interesting. I mean, I think it's a good episode, but it's not... We've had, like, banger after banger so far.
Yeah, and this continues on that, I would say.
I think it's a little dip.
I think this is a great one in going into the sort of the mystery on the island and things like that.
I mean, yes and no. Like, it does, but also it could give us more.
I don't know. I like it. I really like it. I think it's a really great episode. I think all the hallucinating stuff is really fun.
Yeah, it is. But I'm just like, I don't dislike the episode, but it's not up there. And for me, like, the first 4 are just, like, so good. This is just, like, a slight dip in excitement.
Okay,
Not
fine.
necessarily quality, but just, like, my excitement about it. But we're going to talk about it
Fine,
anyway,
fine.
Regardless. I do like the opening of this one. So we get another eye shot. Classic. And this time it's of child Jack.
Yes.
Is it our first eye opening that's in a flashback?
Yes, because the only other eye opening we've had so far was John when he woke up in the Flash. In the crash.
Technically a flashback.
I guess it's sort of a flashback, but this is the first off-island eye opening we get.
Yeah.
With
We're so pedantic.
the pedanticism runs in the family.
Mm-hmm.
It's our first off-island eye opening shot.
Yeah.
With young Jack.
And that we can confidently say.
And
I reckon that kid is quite well cast.
Do you think?
You reckon?
You reckon?
That's a really niche reference to a one Taskmaster bit that just makes us laugh.
Just
loads.
no one else finds it funny. It's just me.
I find it very funny.
You didn't find it funny until I told you about it, though.
Yeah, but that's because I forgot. It's just because I forgot.
So, do you? Because I don't think he's anything crazy.
Don't you? I think he's wild. I think he's a lunatic, personally.
I mean,
He's
like
off the rails.
I mean, like, sometimes you watch a TV show and you get, like, a childhood flashback and you're like, oh my god, they look
Nothing
perfect.
like
Or sometimes they look nothing like them. Or, like, they're, like, some of them have, like, exactly the same sort of mannerisms and stuff and you're like, oh, this is brilliant. Like, I didn't feel strongly either way, particularly with this, with this kid.
I think he is well cast. I think he looks quite a lot like Matthew Fox and, like, I don't know, I felt like I got Jack energy from him.
Yeah, I guess. I thought it's interesting as the episode that it starts with childhood Jack. This is like our first kind of indication that the stuff we're being told about these characters, like it goes way back.
Yeah, that's so true.
Like what we're learning about the characters is what is most important to Jack is like it goes all the way back into when he was like, I don't know how old he's supposed to be. 10. Yeah. Something like that.
Because also one thing that we like notice, like just obviously you see it more later on, but that basically every character's parents are relevant.
Yeah, so
and, like, crop up
every
in the
character
flashbacks.
has daddy issues. Almost all of them, actually. There are like 3 or 4 that I can confidently say don't have daddy issues. But this is our first where we meet one of my most hated characters.
Oh my god.
On the entire show, which is Christian Shepherd.
I can't believe
Jack's
we have to talk about
father.
him this early.
I hate that man so much.
Me too.
I hate him.
It's okay.
He's so awful.
Take a minute. It's okay.
I really dislike him.
Yeah, no, he's the worst. And just his presentation in the... Not only is he, like, a terrible person, but also his presentation in the show. Like, when he features and the way he features is annoying. Not necessarily in this episode. I think it's quite cool, the ghost stuff.
Yeah,
you know?
That is quite cool.
Ghost apparition. I mean, we don't really
dead body
know.
that came back to life.
Yeah.
Because the coffin's empty.
Yeah, but I think they kind of... The coffin is empty, but the way that he, like, jumps around and stuff, the way that it's shot, where Christian's, like, appearing and disappearing...
I mean, I don't necessarily think he's real, but actually something I had written down was that I think early in the episode, there's a bit of a set-up narrative that he is on the island for real, and he's alive.
Oh, interesting.
Because I noticed you don't find out that he's dead...
No, until really late
right
on.
at the end, to the second last flashback. You don't, like, you see that it's his dad, but then it's like, he's gone to Australia, he's disappeared, no one can find him, he's gone without a trace from the hotel room. I was like, oh, he's gone to the island.
Oh, on, like, a previous... He's somehow gotten to the island.
Like, he's gotten to the island instead of running away to Australia. He's, like, gone to Australia and then he's gone to the island. Ooh. And now he's trying to find Jack.
I actually really like that.
Don't you think that's so cool?
That's really cool, yeah.
That would be so cool if that was the answer. This is a tangent, and maybe I'll get into it a bit more later, but there was a short story that I brought up a lot with regards to Jack and Christian and the island.
Oh, fuck, I forgot about this.
So, Cocobolo is a short story in a book called Tales of the Peculiar by Ransom Riggs, which is a spin-off from the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children series. And this is one of my favourite book series. I love it so much. And the book actually features in books. So it's a bit like Fantastic Beasts is in Harry Potter, and then he wrote the book. And Cocobolo is basically a story about a little boy whose father is a sailor, and then he disappears one day. And then when the boy gets older, he starts having really weird things happen to him. He's like, his feet are growing grass, and his body is like exuding sand, and he's growing like seaweed out of his armpits, and he's freaking out naturally. And he's
when I haven't showered for 2 days.
And he's looking for... I mean, that's the feeling of coming out of the beach. Like, coming off the beach, you're
Yes.
like, there is sand coming off my skin.
Oh, yeah. It's in my pores.
Yeah, so this guy...
Instead of, I am in your walls, I am in your pores.
I am in your pores.
That's so dumb.
Basically, so I won't go through the whole story, but there's this concept of this island called Cocobolo, which moves, and no one can find it, and this man finds it because he thinks it holds the answer to his problems, and he finds out that his father has become the island, and that what's happening to him is that he is exuding sand and seaweed and grass because he is also going to become an island. And he doesn't want this to happen, he, like, resists it, but then, you know... in the end of the story, essentially, he becomes an island too, and he floats out to sea with his father.
Aww.
And it's nice.
Kind of nice.
It's a really nice story. I'd actually really recommend The Tales of the Peculiar. I think it's a really interesting book. Even if you haven't read Miss Peregrine's, like, it's some really nice short stories in there. So I kept bringing this up in relation to Jack and Christian because for a very long time I was completely convinced that Christian was some kind of entity of the island, some kind of... like in control or in some kind of power. And this episode, I think if with that implications of that, like, he's gone to the island, definitely brings that out. Because also in this episode, you get a lot of, like, Jack is the leader. Why is Jack the leader? Jack didn't want to be the leader, but everyone's defaulting to him anyway. And it's like, maybe it's destiny to become the island. Whatever.
Destiny is Christian Shepherd's drag name.
Yes.
Okay. Glad we cleared that up.
And that, yeah.
Yeah, I actually...
Do
you know what?
Let me cook, you know?
Like, whenever you brought up that island story, I was just like, okay. Like, I was like, interesting theory, but that's definitely not what the writers had in mind. But now that you've said that with the kind of, like, the looking back and watching this episode before having seen the rest of the show... with that in mind, actually it does kind of make sense.
Like, can you see where I was coming from?
I can see where you were coming from now, yeah.
Like, I was definitely, like, having read this story years ago, it like immediately came back to me. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah. No, it's interesting the kind of like weird reference points we all bring to media.
And I'm sure that's not what the writers had in mind. I mean, definitely not literally, because the book came out like in 2016. But
yeah,
it's a really interesting thing. I still have sort of vague beliefs and theories about fate and destiny and in regards to the show, but I feel we're a bit early to be getting into
we definitely are
that sort of section of theories. But I do think there's definitely some magic in Jack's dad appearing to him.
Yeah.
Even if he is just a hallucination, in that if he's seeing his father, because in all these flashbacks he's being told by his dad and by his mum, you don't have what it takes to be, you know, to be a hero, to be a leader, to be what you want to be, but everyone is looking to him to be that for them.
So you could say that, like, seeing his father is like a manifestation of his self-doubt.
Of his own insecurities, yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think, like, we start out this episode immediately defaulting to Jack for help.
Yeah.
With the drowning woman, Joanna. Even though he might not be the best person to go to for that, but they don't know that. They just go straight to him, and like that pressure is being put on him literally from the first scene. That we know that sorry, my voice just broke. We know like this is really stressing him out, and I think he will obviously think about his dad, and obviously because his dad, he's obviously thinking about him anyway, because his dad has just died like 3 days ago, like right before the crash. Because he makes a point of saying how quickly it's all...
Absolutely! Sorry. Sorry, I was waiting for an opportune moment.
He makes a point of how he's rushing it so much. They're like, his dad probably died like a week ago. Of course he's thinking about him, you know, of course he's thinking about all the things that his dad always told him. Although I don't believe that Christian is just a hallucination caused by Jack's insecurities, but I think even if you read it that way, there's definitely a really narratively significant reason to why it's him that he's seeing.
Yeah, definitely. You think that there is something... Is it because the body's not there?
It's because the body's not there, because the thing is, you could reasonably say, oh, the body fell out of the coffin during the crash, but the lid's still on.
But the lid's not, like, fastened very securely.
Yeah, but for the lid to come off and the body to fall out and then the lid to fall back on, it's a stretch.
It could happen.
It's a stretch.
It is a stretch, but it could happen.
But
that's great. The way that they do it so that it's just unrealistic enough. Do you know what I mean? I mean, just realistic enough.
Just realistic enough that it could be nothing. No, 100%. And that...
But it is creepy.
It's so creepy.
Yeah.
It's so creepy. And, like, that whole thing. And I think there's something going on. I'm not sure about his body just got up and walked away. But there's just something weird about it, you know? I don't think it's just Jack going crazy. Or all the other stuff he says, you know, dehydration and PTSD and etc.
Well, I really love that conversation between Jack and John.
Oh, that's a brilliant scene. I love that scene.
Are we going to talk about that now?
We can talk about that now.
We've barely scratched the surface of the episode. We've gotten to the child in the flashback, is he well cast, to, so, the corpse.
The corpse at the end of the episode.
Yeah, let's talk about that scene. That's a really cool scene. Not only because of, like, when you are rewatching it as we are, and you know the kind of relationship that Jack and John have, I had forgotten that this early on, John saves his life.
Yeah.
Like, that is
I never thought about that, actually. He saves his life.
It's huge, right?
Yeah.
He's literally saved his life, and it's also shot in a really cool way where the hand comes down and you think it might be the ghost or whatever.
The first time I saw it, I was so scared. I was like, oh my god, it's his father.
He's gonna, like, grab it and then it's gonna be nothing and then he's gonna, like, fall or whatever.
Like my hallucinations when I was little. Christian Shepherd, my sleep paralysis demon. Can you imagine if you woke up in the middle of the night and he was in the corner of your bedroom? I think I'd tell him to fuck off.
That's a truly terrifying prospect. He is the Boogie Man.
I don't like that.
The Boogie Man is just an old white guy.
Just an old white man who's a dick.
Do you just gotta chill?
White man.
Feels like the patriarchy's in the room with us.
No, but I love that scene between Jack and John where they talk about Jack's, problems. I like it as well because Jack doesn't get to talk about his own issues.
No, he doesn't.
Like, he spends all of his time trying to help other people and fixing other people's problems. And, like, even when he's going to Kate, who, like, at this point is the person he's probably closest to, like, they're always talking about she got arrested, they're talking about that, they're talking about the marshal, they're talking about, like, her stuff. He never gets to talk about his own problems. And this is, like, one of the, only scenes where he really gets to be like, this is a problem I'm dealing with. I'm really stressed about it. And John's like, it's okay.
I'd argue in almost the entire show.
Yeah. It's very rare that Jack is allowed to experience emotions.
Completely. Well, not experience. He experiences a lot of emotions.
He experiences the entire human spectrum of emotions every episode.
But unpack those emotions.
Yes.
He doesn't get to very often. And John has a really fun function in kind of the first series where he sort of becomes not like the therapist of the island, but like he talks a lot to everyone and really listens to these people.
Yeah.
And
he's sort of like the wise old druid that you go to, like, in the village when you have problems, and it's like, go and speak to the prophet, he'll help you. That's, like, his sort of...
That's his vibe, and it's, like, it's nice because, Jack is the leader, so everyone goes to Jack with their problems, but he always comes up with a very practical solution.
Yeah.
Whereas John is kind of, like, he has this kind of different angle. I mean, this is man of science, man of faith, isn't it?
Yes.
Which comes up, which is kind of, like, describes
their
Jack
duality.
And John canonically. Yeah, I really love the monologue that he gives in this bit. I just like the way he begins it with, like, I'm a simple man, meat and potatoes. I just love the little meat and potatoes throwaway line. It really makes me
meat
smile.
And potatoes is a fun line.
It's nice. And it's, like, I think it's well written, because it's, like, yeah, I know at least exactly what that means.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's good.
And also because we've had John's flashback episode just before this.
Yeah.
We now know exactly what his life is like and exactly how he feels and why he feels that way about the island.
Yeah, 100%. And the whole, like, I've looked into the eye of this island.
Yes! Ah, when you first see that, you're
love that.
Well, tell us what the eye of the island was!
Tell us what you saw, John!
Which kind of implies that the creature, or at least what he thinks the creature is some kind of
essence of the island.
Essence of the island.
Yeah.
Akin to your kind of theory about the kind of the island being some kind of creature.
Like sentient.
Yeah.
Yeah, being. It's not just like a place where they are. I do think it has its own.
I mean, I think sentience is going a bit far.
Sentience is maybe I think the island has sentience in the way that, like, a cat has sentience. Like, it can't necessarily think.
Cats can think.
In the way that humans do. Like it's the whole like argument of, like, do animals have the capacity to be morally evil? You know that
classic
debate?
Argument. No, I don't know that debate.
We've reached this point in the episode, have we? So the argument is it's like sharks versus dolphins, right? Sharks...
What are we talking about?
So sharks are notorious for being, like, evil, and they kill people, and they hunt, and they're scary, whereas dolphins are, like, cute and gentle and peaceful, so to speak. But the argument is... a shark is hunting because that's its natural instincts, whereas a dolphin, as, like, supposedly the second most intelligent animal in the world, has the moral capacity to do evil.
Interesting.
So that, like a a bear killing a person isn't evil. Because it's not choosing to kill the person because it hates the person.
Yeah.
It's killing the person because it feels threatened or because it's hungry or whatever. Like, it's an instinct.
But then I guess
whereas humans have the capacity to commit moral evil, but that's by human standards.
Yeah.
You know?
And also,
for all we know, squirrels have a standard of moral evil.
Yeah. We don't know. We're just interpreting the animals' actions based on what we can see. We don't know what they're thinking.
And I mean, biblically, any aquatic animal has no ability to commit sin, so dolphins can't be evil.
Is that in the Bible?
It's not in the Bible, but it's an interpretation of the Bible, because when the rain from Noah's Ark drowns all the animals, it doesn't drown all the fish or the sharks. Because,
so they're good.
So it's like they don't have the ability to sin because God didn't drown them.
I'm hearing a lot. I'm getting a lot of information right now. I'm being quite bombarded, I would say.
This has become a tradition, I think, of me just explaining concepts to you that I thought were common knowledge. So my point is, I think the island has sentience in the way that a shark does, not in the way that dolphin or a human does.
Okay. I mean, I don't know if I agree with that. Because I'm just like, I don't know if it has, like, a consciousness. I mean, it's an island.
But it does things.
But things on the island do things.
But is the monster a thing on the island, or is it the island itself?
Well, we don't know at this point.
John knows. John saw it.
John knows. Well, ask John then.
I will ask John. I'm going to go to the druid.
Yeah, do it. And he'll tell you that you're smelly.
Really?
Yeah, he will.
I bet they all smell terrible on the island, though. This is a segue I was thinking about.
I know you are, but not am I.
I said it wrong. I know you are, but not am I.
I know you are, but not am I.
I bet they all smell awful. Do you ever think about that?
Yeah, I do.
Just look at how sweaty they are and be like, God, I bet this island smells nasty.
Mm-hmm. And also, like...
They haven't showered.
Toilets as well. It's not going to be the most sanitary.
There's no toilet roll. There's no
bidet. Let's put it that way. Yeah, no, I bet they do smell bad, but it's like...
They all haven't changed their clothes for, like, 6 days.
Although, did you notice at one point, talking of Kate's dirty tank top, there was a scene, I wrote down, clean t-shirt gang. There was a scene between Kate and Saeed and John, and they all had pristine white shirts
I didn't
on.
notice that, but I did write down some fun stuff about that scene, because I love that scene.
I was like blinded by the whiteness of their shirts.
They
were
like, very
whoa!
clean.
Someone's been on the old Vanish powder.
Yeah, they were
Crazy.
clean. They were very clean. One thing I liked about that scene is that John called Jack the Doctor. Which is just like, they don't know each other's names.
Well, I think
Where's the
they
doctor?
probably know. I don't know. Maybe
he
they
doesn't.
Don't.
Maybe he doesn't.
We
Claire
had,
didn't until last episode.
Yeah, we had a whole thing in the last episode, didn't we? Of like, now we need to start telling people's names because we can't keep this up. But maybe they're still keeping it up for a little bit.
Calls him the Doctor. But then I think, does he call him Jack? I don't know, in the scene between them.
Probably.
Maybe, but I don't know. Maybe he wasn't sure. Do you ever do that? Do you ever be like, logically I know what this person's name is, but as soon as I call them it, I'm terrified that I've gotten the name wrong.
Oh, all the time I do that.
It's one of the stupidest insecurities I ever have, because it's like, or I will text someone and I'll be like, put their name at the beginning of the text, and I have to like check their contact name 700 times to make sure I'm like spelling it right or I'm getting their name right. I'm like, what if it's wrong? And in reality, it's like, if someone gets your name wrong, it's not a big deal.
No.
But it's so scary. Like, maybe John was like, oh, what if it's not Jack? What if
it's John?
What if it's John?
It's an easy mistake to make.
Do you imagine if they had to call them John S and John L? Like, nursery.
That's such a hilarious concept to me. Oh, I really want to Photoshop, like, the sticker.
Yeah.
And, like, some glitter pen. John S.
Little, like,
John
water
L.
bottles that say, like, this belongs to John S.
Their mum has sewn it into the back of their shirts.
Whose jumper is this? It just says John.
So
the other thing I liked about the John, Saeed, Kate scene is it was like a congregation of the secondary leaders.
So true.
It was like there's this pyramid, you know, of like Jack, and then your second level is John, Kate, and Saeed, and as soon as Jack disappears, they're like, us three have to go together and have a discussion about what we do next,
and
because we're the next layer down.
Sorry, I interrupted you there, and then coughed.
It's okay.
Also, they're very, like, canny about the dynamics of the island
Yeah.
and the crash, not island. Because they're like, you know, John says, these people need you here, basically. I'll go. And then, like, yeah, they understand their roles.
They acknowledge that, yeah.
Which is kind of fun.
No, it is fun. And I thought it was, I like that scene. I thought it was a nice scene. So another thrilling moment we have in this episode, finally, I've been waiting for it, is the passing of the Bechdel test.
Pow, 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 pow!
Feminism!
Get the graphics. Yeah. We finally passed the Bechdel test.
We had Kate and Claire
in the most hilarious way possible.
talking about astrology.
First of all, they talk about a hairbrush.
It's like
Jesus fucking
it's
Christ.
like if you sat down. It's like, you know, if I was to talk to a boardroom full of people and go, listen, I need to write a comedy skit on the least feminist way to pass the Bechdel test. I reckon hairbrush and astrology is pretty high up on that list.
They would be in the discussion, 1,000%.
They would be on my big whiteboard.
Yeah.
Be writing astrology in big letters.
Yeah. Or it's more like the boardroom is just full of men and they go, okay, what do women talk about?
What do women talk about? I think that's probably the writer's room for Lost.
Hairbrushes, maybe?
What do women talk about, guys? Gemini? Do you think J.J. Abrams had to Google what a Gemini's characteristics are?
Yes.
Did they give Kate a birthday, do you think?
Ooh, well, they must have done.
What are the dates for Gemini? Do you know?
No, I don't know.
Let's Google it.
If you're a Gemini, you are...
Let us know. Restless and passionate. May 21st to June 20th. That's not where I would have put Kate's birthday.
I can see her as a late May birthday. Not June.
She's not a June.
She's not June. But I can see her as late May.
Yeah, maybe like May 23rd. Something like that.
29th. Yeah.
I can see that. I think, I don't know, she seems like a winter birthday person to me.
Do you know, I can see that too.
I think if you'd asked me to guess before you told me, like, she's a Gemini or whatever, I would have said, like, November.
Or even December.
Yeah.
I feel like she could be close to Christmas.
She kind of gives Christmas birthday, I was just going to say.
Yeah, a little bit. Do you think she'd wear Uggs?
No. What do you mean, would she wear Uggs?
I don't know. I was like, for a second I could see her in Uggs, and then I was like, actually, I'm not sure.
Shannon's wearing Uggs, if any of them are wearing Uggs.
Well, yeah, Shannon's wearing Uggs, obviously. But I'm like, I feel like Kate, she could be drawn in to the marketing of Uggs.
I don't think so. I don't think she...
In the early 2000s.
I don't think Kate... I would venture to say Kate, I don't think is really influenced by marketing.
She probably isn't seeing much of it if she's on the run.
If she's on the run, I mean, what ads do you get in the Australian farms?
It's a very good question.
I think she's not taken in by adverts. I would venture to say.
Yeah.
I don't think she's a shopping channel, enthusiast.
No, probably not.
I think Claire probably is.
You think Claire's a shopping channel enthusiast?
I reckon she'd watch JML.
She'd watch it for fun, though. She would never buy anything from
it. She maybe, I don't know.
But she'd be like, look at this crazy thing.
She'd be like, look at this. A foot spa. Crazy.
For only 3 secure payments of $9.99.
99. Yeah, it's always extortionately high. For only 4 payments of £47.50, you can get this lipstick. Can't be that good.
Surely not.
So we get Claire is an astrology girly. Which I do see for her.
Yeah.
It's not out of character.
It's not. It's just, it's so funny that it's like, finally we get 2 women with names having a conversation about something other than a man, and the conversation goes, do you have a hairbrush and are you a Gemini?
Yeah. It's cute though. It's nice.
It is nice.
It is really sweet. It's the like, I could do your chart, and then just the look that Kate gives her. But just like, no.
And she finds a hat.
Yeah.
One of the things that was like a throwaway in the audio commentary, where like one of the writers was like, the first thing I would do is find a hat on a desert island. But I guess they didn't want to give them hats too early on. But
Maybe.
Claire
I mean,
finds a hat.
she never really wears that hat again, I don't think.
A couple times, I think. But yeah, not really.
But she puts it on, which I think, yeah. I mean...
Hey, it's there.
It's sunny.
Hat.
It's hot, it's sunny, you need a hat.
But yeah, I mean, we love Kate and Claire's dynamic.
I love Kate and Claire.
I love the bit that you get in this episode where, like, she's looking after her and she's like, hey, come on, you're gonna be alright. And I'm like...
And she calls her honey, which is really nice.
Yeah, it started already.
I'm a big Kate and Claire shipper.
Yeah, me too.
I'm a big...
It just makes sense.
They're so cute together. I really love their dynamic and I think it's really sweet, and they have a lot of really nice moments together. Like, it keeps going throughout the whole show. Something else I noticed, this is not in regards to shipping, but just I noticed Kate and Saeed have a lot of really nice moments together.
Yeah, they are kind of a bit more of a duo early on.
They don't really, this kind of drops off as a, like, I would never consider them to be a duo, but they have some really nice moments together. Across these early episodes, they've done a lot of stuff together. They work together to do the radio a lot. The radio stuff and, like, you know, getting the water and going up. I guess because Jack doesn't go up to get the transmission in Pilot Part 2, that's kind of when they become friends. And I think that's really nice. I think Kate and Saeed have very similar kind of character archetypes in the sense that, like, Saeed was in the army, but, you know, he was in an army that was fighting against America. So they might see him as that, as like a criminal thing. Mm. And Kate is a criminal who was on the run, and they both, like, they know how guns work, and they know how, like, that kind of thing. I think they have a lot of similar
they're
traits.
Like the outsiders.
Yeah.
But they're also the leaders. It's kind of odd when you think about it like that. And then you get Jack, who's, like, the most straight-laced, normal guy. Regular human bartender.
He's just Average Joe.
Average Jack.
Average Joe would be a great drag king name.
That would be a great
drag king name. Is there a drag king
name
called Average Joe? I hope so.
There must be. Surely.
I mean, if not, there is now.
We're stealing it. Copyright right now.
It's mine.
Mm-hmm. Oh my god, I completely forgot to tell you this as well. Like, when I was away at uni, I don't even know what, I think I was in the shower or something, like it was a really random moment, but out of nowhere popped into my head Walt's going, the pregnant lady fell down.
That pregnant lady fell down.
And I just started laughing, just like to myself.
Yeah.
And I forgot to text you about it. I was gonna just text you out of context, the pregnant lady fell down. I don't know why it makes me laugh, it's just the way he delivers it.
It's not a funny line at all, but the way he delivers it is a little bit funny. It's the fact that it's that pregnant lady, not the pregnant lady. That pregnant lady fell down.
I feel like it's in danger of becoming one of those things that I just say all the time. Like, you reckon.
Yeah.
Like, have I told you about, I wouldn't be surprised if we never saw Denise Richards again?
I don't think so.
The Trixie and Katia show. They talk about this kind of habit of just, like, saying little sound bites to yourself. Yeah. And one that Trixie says all the time is, I wouldn't be surprised if we never saw Denise Richards again.
No, I do that a lot. I would just be in my room and I'll just be, like, spewing quotes from things. Mm-hmm. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but there are a lot that just kind of...
I think my new one's going to be that pregnant lady fell down.
There was a period about a year and a half ago where whenever there was a silence, me or one of my friends would just go Shadow Wizard Money Gang. We love casting spells.
I don't know what that's a reference to.
It's just like a video of a guy dressed as a wizard. But we would just look at each other and just go Shadow Wizard Money Gang. It's a great, I think Saeed and Kate have a nice duo, and they are outcasts in a different sense to Sawyer as an outcast.
Definitely.
Because he's forcibly outcasting himself. Mm-hmm. In that he is insisting on not connecting with anyone.
Oh my god. That scene in this episode where he goes to Boone and he's like, oh, how does it feel being the one that everyone hates instead of me now? It sucks, doesn't it? I'm like, girl, as if you haven't brought this on yourself.
Sawyer, honey, look me in the eyes everyone hates you because you made them hate you.
Yeah. And we
You
kind
didn't
of
have to
find
do
out
that.
later that he does that on purpose a little bit. So it's like, I just have no sympathy for him. I'm sorry.
I'm just like, you can't be complaining about everyone hating you when you made everyone hate you on purpose. Like...
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself.
Like, come on. He does a lot of things that I really hate in this episode. That scene... I don't even want to talk about it, actually. Between Sawyer and Kate, over the water. It just upsets me.
Do you remember how I was really happy how in the first episode there were like people falling on each other and it wasn't in a romantic context in any way? Remember those good old days?
This is the opposite of that. However, we do get a fabulous fall in this episode from Jack.
Oh my god, yeah! It goes on for so long!
It does. My favourite part of it is that, first of all, that man flips in half. He trips over. His foot is the height of his head. He straight up pivots. It's like if someone's put, you know, like those toys you get that have, they're like it's like a shuttlecock with like a sticky thing inside, and you press it down and then it pops up again.
Yeah.
He's like one of them. He's like, this is another tangent, but there was this film that me and my mother watched. We didn't even finish it. I have no idea what this film was called, so if you know what this film is, please message me.
Answers on a postcard.
So it's a not Jake Peralta. That's not his name. It's an Andy Samberg movie. And it's about a guy who he wants to be like a biker, do like motorbike tricks.
Okay.
But he's really bad. It might be called Daredevil actually. But he's really bad, and that's the whole joke of the film. We watched this film to set the scene. It was about 4 a.m. I was feeling really ill, and Mum was trying this new thing where instead of telling me to go back to bed, she'd go, okay, well, if you feel ill, let's just go sit downstairs. And we'd go and get cups of tea and go and watch something on the telly for 45 minutes, and then I'd go, okay, I can go back to bed now. We did it 4 times. It was really weird. And one of the things we watched during this time was this film, and it starts out, we only watched about the first 20 minutes, it starts out and he sets up this big trick, and then he drives over the ramp, and he falls off the bike, and he just keeps rolling down hills for about 45 seconds. It keeps just cutting to a lower down section of the hill, and he keeps rolling, and he keeps rolling and rolling and rolling, and then eventually he rolls out onto a road or something, and he has to get up, otherwise we're gonna get run over by a truck, I think. And that was just all I could think about.
I would love to see an edit or a video where that is looped, that bit of Jack is looped, so he just keeps falling. Just...
It's so funny. It's so, because it's so undignified as well.
I mean, props to the stunt guy or whoever it was that
Props to whoever did that stunt, because
Hey, I was thinking about stunts at another part of the episode. Because there was one, obviously the bits where they're in the water, I'm sure that's all done really safely and really
it'll be in a
water.
tank, yeah.
Yeah, probably a
they
swimming
get, I
pool.
think they get these big sort of pools that are just deep enough that you can go under all the way, but they're and they have loads of, lifeguards and floats and stuff.
I'm not sure if how they film those.
Yeah. For all we know, maybe they just chucked them in this ocean.
In the sea. But there is one shot. It's right before the opening credits. It's a really wide shot, so you get a little bit, I think it's the circular bit of the plane coming in again. You get a little bit of the crash site, and then you get lots of people on the beach, and then you have Jack swimming out towards Joanna. So I'm imagining that Joanna is CGI'd, because they wouldn't put anyone that far out and struggling and all of that.
Oh yeah, she'll be in effect.
They either made Matthew Fox or his body double, I don't know, swim genuinely
all the way out
and
there.
I'm how long did he swim for?
Yeah, because you can't you might not be able to hear them yell cut from that far away.
Yeah, just swimming, just let him go.
Just what if I just left him there? What if they just let him keep going? Maybe he'll end up if you swim directly out of Hawaii, where would you go? I'm not good at geography. I did history GCSE. We also get in that scene one of my most hated, repeated, I was going to say motifs. It's not really a motif, it's just a thing that happens in the show.
Let's go with motif.
This is an incorrect use of motif, but I'm going to go with it. of, oh no, I have to dive in this water. Let me take my shirt off.
Yeah, that motif. I like calling that a motif.
Because, let's break this down. You're about to jump in the ocean. Okay, yeah, you're like, oh, you can take my clothes off because then I'll be lighter or whatever. The heaviest thing at any given moment that a person is wearing are shoes and trousers. Not shirts.
Yeah.
These people frequently will be jumping into, like, the ocean in jeans, but will stop to take off their shirt.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
What's that all about?
I'm gonna call it the sorry babe, the jeans stay on motif.
The jeans stay on during swimming. What? Yeah. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous and insane, and they keep doing it. And this is the first time it happens. And I think it's really telling of the sort of... They slut out a lot of these actors. And I think a lot of them are just continuously in various states of undress.
Love that.
And I don't like it. Like, it's just like...
It just doesn't make sense.
Like, I'm all for a bit of... No, I'm not, actually. I was going to say I'm all for a bit of sort of taking your clothes off, but I'm not really.
No.
But it just make it narratively make sense, you know? Like... They do a good job of doing the undignified things in this show, of falling awkwardly and being really sweaty, and I'm like, why would they not take their jeans off? Is that not allowed? Is that a step too far? To see a guy's pants? We've already had Evangeline Lilly in virtually nothing.
Exactly.
But God forbid we see Jack's boxers.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
I know.
It just makes no sense. I don't know if he did, I'm assuming he took his shoes off. I don't know if he had shoes on, to be fair.
He probably didn't have them on.
But, like, shoes is fairly standard, I think, as well. I think they also tend to take shoes and then shirt.
How do you feel about the parallel of having, like, the flashback where, you know, Jack is a child and he's trying to help his friend who's being beaten up, like, coming straight in with him trying to save Boone and Joanna from drowning?
In what sense? How do I feel about it?
Well, like, what do you think that means as a parallel?
I mean, I think it's just kind of a demonstration of, like, Jack will put himself in danger to help other people.
Yeah.
And something I know, like, no one else goes in that ocean.
No.
To help. Which obviously I think that, you know, narratively they were probably like, Jack has to do it. But also, like, no one
too
else
many
goes in.
cooks, you know.
Yeah, but if two people had gone in, someone could have gone after Joanna, and then someone could have saved Boone, and yeah, but I think it's really sort of indicative of Jack's, I don't want to say self-sacrificing, but his desire to help people at his own expense. Self-sacrificing is a bit of a, like, you know, everybody should, oh no, I'm having such an awful time of it.
I don't know if that is what I associate with the term.
Anyway, it's not quite right. Yeah,
it's just, you know, I don't know, it's like you have this bit from his childhood instead of, like, I don't know, patient on an operating table.
Yeah, I think it's important that we know he's always been like this. You know, I think because we've had, in whichever episode the conversation between Rose and Jack is, we have that where she says to him, like, you have a nice way about you, I can see why you became a doctor, and he's like, I just kind of fell into it.
I think that was the last episode, actually, because that is quite a nice build-up.
Nice lead-in to this, yeah, family business, that we find, that, you know, obviously we see Jack's dad is also a surgeon, but they could not be more different in the way that they treat their patients.
And just the way that they are.
And just the way that they are, they're completely different people. And yeah, I think it's important that we know that it's not just a product of he's a doctor, therefore he's a nice person.
Yeah.
I think that's a bit of an archetype in a lot of sort of apocalypse and that kind of vibe of, like, characters where it's like the doctor is someone you can trust. The doctor is someone who can help you. And And that we see, you know, yes, Jack helps people because he's a doctor, but he helps people because he wants to help people. And he wants to stop people from getting hurt. And in, you know, in a crisis situation, you don't want Christian Shepherd there. Even though he's a doctor, you can't trust him to save you.
Yeah.
You know, the only patient we've heard about is someone who died.
That's true, but we do also find out that he's chief of surgery. So yeah, he might save your life, but he'll also be a dick about it.
Yeah. And I think that is an important element of his character, that it's not just like, you know, cops and robbers between Jack and Kate. It's like he's a good person, you know, he wants to help people, and that's a part of his personality, and it's not just like that's, you know, it's part of his career. You know, we see it in his childhood, and, you know, Christian actively tries to make him stop wanting to help people.
Yeah.
Which I think is an insane thing to try and instill in your son.
He gives him like a reverse pep talk.
I have so many thoughts about that conversation, just in general, but like it's... That conversation between Christian and Jack is the wildest thing anyone could say to their child. Like, imagine looking your son in the eye and going, you don't have what it takes to be what you want to be.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah.
And then for his mum to say it as well. This is something I forgot about.
Yeah, I forgot that too.
When she's trying to convince him to go and get his dad from Australia, and she just is like, he was right about you.
I really misremembered that scene, because in my mind, it's like raining outside, which I think it was, but Jack has got like his hood up. And he's in like a really moody teenager vibe.
You wouldn't stop talking about how emo and moody he is in that scene. And I was like,
I really thought he was. I really thought he was like, oh, I don't want to go, whatever. Oh, Mom, you're the worst. Like, and he had the hood up, and like that was kind of the vibe. But it's really not. I don't know why I remembered
it's really
that
not
in that way.
I mean, I will admit the hoodie is a strange choice of costuming.
Think Jack would ever wear a hoodie.
He doesn't seem like a hoodie guy, really.
No.
And it's like one of the only times we see him in like casual wear as well.
I think like he's the kind of guy who on his day off would wear like a short sleeved shirt. Ooh.
Pushing the boat out with like a striped tie. Definitely. He's not really a hoodie guy.
No.
So I will admit that it feels a bit left field as like a choice. But I don't think it's supposed to... Like, I can see why you might have remembered it as a bit of like a, oh, Mom, leave me alone type sort of vibe. But yeah, it's definitely not. And I think that's like... Jack's mum, I don't think about her enough.
No.
Because I'm such a big Jack's dad hater that I forget that, like, she also contributed, you know, to all of that. Like, you know, she obviously believes, and she's just fine with Christian, you know, running off to Australia. And the way that is framed as well is, like, this is not the first time he's done this. He's, you know, he keeps disappearing.
Yeah.
And they keep having to go and get him back. And, like, Jack is very much acting like it's not the first time he's been sent to go and get his dad from somewhere.
Yeah, definitely.
And he's been, you know, drunk or whatever.
But yeah, it's obviously more serious this time round, and I think they build that up in a really good way, actually. The flashbacks in this episode, I'm kind of like meh. Like, I don't really care that much. Like, there are some cool bits, like the ice in the glass being the lead into the episode.
I love that. No, hang on, I have something to say about that. You can carry on with your point in a second. But the ice in the glass shaking being the lead into the second flashback means it's so great, because also they use the sounds a lot. There's like footsteps going down the hall at like the I don't want to say morgue. Is it a morgue? When they go to when he goes to identify Christian's body, and they hear the footsteps in like the big echoey hallway. But also when Jack was thinking about that, and then he's staring at the fire on the island, there's like a ice glass clink, what's the word? You know, clinking noise.
Right.
That he hears when he sees, like, ghost Christian, apparition Christian, go past behind him.
Is there?
Yes. There's, like, an ice in the glass noise that he hears, and I was like, what?
That's cool. That's pretty cool.
Like, that's so... Like, they not only have used the sounds to transition between the flashbacks, but also to have, like... And even if that's, like, a manifestation of Jack's psyche, like, we know that's what he's thinking about. He's thinking about that conversation and things like that. So cool.
Yeah.
I thought it was so fun.
One thing they do actually do with the flashbacks in this episode is kind of set it up as if the person is reliving that moment, which they barely ever do.
Yeah.
Barely ever do they do that, but, like, specifically that bit, because he's staring at the fire, and then it cuts to him identifying his dad's body, and he's crying, and then it cuts back, and he's crying on the island. So I'm like, oh, he's remembering that moment.
He's thinking about that because he's seeing his dad.
Which, half the time, it just feels like the flashbacks are for the viewer's benefit. They're not really influencing the person right in that moment.
Yeah,
Which
or sometimes I would argue they're influencing the person in that moment in a way that makes no sense. But we'll get to that.
Yeah, definitely. So I've definitely forgotten what my point was.
Sorry.
It's okay. Oh yeah, no, I was saying the flashbacks, I'm kind of like, meh, I'm not that invested, but I do think they build it up in quite a good way with, like, introducing the character of Christian, making out that he's not a nice person at all, and then Jack has to go after him, and it's like, oh, we find out why he's in Australia. Then it's like, oh, we find out that his father's died, and then it's like, oh, we find out why he was in that black suit on the plane, and why, like, it's so wild that he can see Christian walking around.
Yeah, that not only is he hallucinating or seeing a person, he's seeing his dad who just died, who was on the plane, like that. It's built up in a really good way, I agree with you. I think that last flashback, it's great.
I like the last one.
Being in the airport, it's really great, but it was a little bit goofy. The dialogue is a little bit goofy.
Do you think?
Because because the thing is, when he says, like, I'm standing in front of you in the suit I'm going to wear to my father's funeral, all I could think was, like, I'm just a girl standing in front of a boy. I was like, I'm just a girl in the suit I'm wearing to my father's funeral, standing in front of a boy, asking her to put his body on the plane.
No, you can't have that association with this moment.
I know.
I think that's a really powerful moment, because it's like, this is the suit I'm going to wear to my father's funeral, but he wears it in the most traumatic moment of his life when he's literally in a plane crash and we see him and he takes the tie off to fix a guy's leg, and that suit is huge. It's the suit he was going to wear to the funeral.
I know, and it's crazy, but it's just, it's.
Oh no! Why would you make that? You've ruined it. You've ruined that moment for me. You've ruined that moment for the listeners. But most importantly, you've ruined that moment for yourself.
I know, it's bad.
I think you need to go sit in the corner
but I
and
love
think about
that.
what you've done.
I love that scene though, and I think it's really powerful that he never gets to have his father's funeral.
Yeah. Hugely so.
Not least of all because the body's gone.
Yeah.
Also
because
we have a lovely
the horrors.
Chekhov's baseball bat. Just conveniently there for him to smash open the coffin with.
That is quite literally not Chekhov's gun.
Also, where did all those dolls come from?
Oh my god, yeah, let's
Can we talk about that?
dolls.
Because there are about at least 5 sort of porcelain Victorian-looking dolls, one of which is in the waterfall.
Yeah.
And then there's loads of them on all the suitcases.
So clearly what's happened is, in the crash, some of the suitcases and the storage area has, like, fallen out into this place where the caves are. But someone on this plane packed 7 porcelain dolls.
Maybe the
It was
dolls were haunted, and that's the curse. That's what the monster is.
Maybe
it's the dolls.
It's the ghost dolls.
I love that, because I'm a big fan of dolls. I'm a big lover of dolls. You know this about me, obviously, Ariel, but you listeners don't. And I have a couple of, like, vintage, dolls, porcelain ones, that I love, and I think they're really cute, but to anyone else, to the layman...
Yeah. Well, your dolls are creepy, though. You have, like, really realistic baby dolls, which is creepy. These dolls, I think, are cool. Like, where they're actively looking creepy.
What about the one that I got? What about Sarah?
Sarah, I'm allowing Sarah.
She's like a porcelain old. She's from the 80s.
We can superimpose a picture of Sarah.
I'm gonna put a picture from
Sarah,
her.
I allow, but I don't allow that freaky blonde boy. That freaky little blonde
That
boy.
creepy.
He's horrible.
They're Tiny Treasures dolls if anyone wants to Google them. But,
He will just crop up. Like, I will just walk into your bedroom and he'll be there, staring at me.
oh yeah, he's in my bed.
He's in your bed?
Yeah.
Oh my god. It's terrifying. It's genuinely terrifying.
I used him as a prop in a cosplay recently. That was fun. I used him to be Baby Colin from What We Do in the
Yeah.
Shadows. But the thing is, the dolls are quite funny to me, just because, like, finding a porcelain doll at the bottom of a waterfall, that is really fun. That's a really creepy,
Yeah.
image.
Yeah.
Him picking it up before he notices the rest of the suitcases and stuff. But I would argue, though, that moment is really cheapened by the fact that there is then 4 more of them.
Yeah. Agreed. But I'm just like, whose
suitcase is that?
packed that? It was me. I checked in.
I was on the plane.
Oh, sorry, I have to check in my extra bag. Yeah, they said I need to come to the desk here. Chrissy, thank you so much. Yeah, it's 7 porcelain dolls.
They better not break on the plane or I will be suing you. They didn't break, though. They didn't smash.
Hey.
Good quality
robust.
porcelain.
It's because they're haunted, they're strengthened by the souls of
Haunted
the
dolls don't
innocent,
break, as we know.
as we know.
Yeah, it's a strange moment. But I really like that. The finding of the caves moment.
Is really cool.
Oh, it's brilliant. Seeing that for the first time is that, like, he's running and you're like, he's gonna catch him. And that, like, he's led him to the water. Oh, it's brilliant.
You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him go to therapy for his daddy issues.
I haven't got anything else to say to that, I agree. It's correct.
That's the message of this episode. No, I think the writers were probably just like, what's the creepiest thing that he could find in a river?
Yeah, I mean,
Let's go for a porcelain
they
doll.
were up there.
Yeah.
It's definitely...
Because also, first time watcher, you might be like, ooh, that never gets explained.
No, that never comes back. There's no background extra going, oh, my babies!
My dolls! Has anyone seen my dolls?
Who do you think, out of all the characters we've met, who do you think is most likely that bag belongs to them?
Joanna. No, I don't know.
I don't know. I don't think any of them are particularly...
They're
doll
so
owners.
normal.
They're all very normal.
They're all really normal, boring people.
Yeah, they're all way too boring for
They're
that.
so not boring. We've created a podcast to talk about them. But their style is very boring.
They're very sort of straight.
Yeah. In both senses
In
of the word.
the straight man, a lot of them are very
Normcore.
normcore, definitely. I don't think any of them. I don't think I would say any of them are doll collectors. I really have no idea. I can't, I don't have an answer for you. None of them would be
None
doll
of them.
collectors.
Just one of the great mysteries of the island.
Whose dolls were those?
Maybe Rose.
Yeah, I think I would say Rose.
If I had to pick someone, I'd pick Rose.
If I had to pick a current survivor, like a character we've met, but I mean, even Rose.
I can just imagine her having I don't know.
I can imagine her being like a
Heirlooms.
sort of like a Charlie Bear collector.
Mmm.
Like those fancy teddy bears that have the articulated joints. I can see her collecting those, and they often come in a similar category to people who collect dolls.
Yeah. But then again, she is also kind of a no-nonsense character, so I don't know if she'd be like, that's a waste of money.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe they're Rose's husbands.
Oh, why would you say that?
Here's a separate question for
My
you.
husband is in the tail section.
He's a doll. Here's a question for you. If the storage section of the plane broke open over the caves,
Yeah.
do you think that's where Vincent landed? Because as far as I'm aware,
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong, because we've never had dogs and we've never been on a plane, but they put dogs in the storagey bit, don't they? They put them in cages, and then they give them drugs to make them pass out, and then they put them in
I
cages,
think
unless
so.
it's like a support animal, in which obviously it's in the.
I believe so.
So
It could be.
maybe that was where he was. Maybe Hurley was right when he said maybe the dog can find water.
Hey.
Also, he probably could have. I think, like, if it wasn't for Apparition Christian, they could have just followed Vincent. I think he would have...
Which is the name of my new band. Apparition Christian.
Christian rock band. That, like... Yeah, because animals... I know cats can smell water.
Can they?
Yeah. This is something I learned recently because when it was really hot, Mum called me and was like, make sure you put extra water out for the cat. So he doesn't get dehydrated, and I was like, well, he's hiding under the bed, he's not going to see it. And she was like, no, it's okay, he'll be able to smell it.
Okay, so it might not be true if you're learning this from Mother.
And it might not be true, but I think animals can because they have, like, they can taste water, can't they? I know that, that's a scientific fact.
We can all taste water.
No, but they taste more in water than we do because they can't drink anything else.
Right. So they're like, the nuance.
Like, I think
notes of,
I think water tastes different to them, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I reckon if they just followed Vincent into the forest, he would have taken them to water eventually.
You reckon?
You reckon? He would have taken them... Maybe he would have... And maybe, you know, hell, maybe if he woke up in the caves, maybe he would have just taken them straight to the caves.
Yeah. I don't know.
So, in relation to the water, we have one of my other favourite lines in the show. Possibly the whole thing, from Charlie, which is, this wanker had 3 bottles on him.
Why did you do it, pretty boy?
This is the only use of wanker.
I think it's the only use of wanker in the
across
whole
the show.
Yeah.
And there should be more, but I think if there has to be one, it's a good place to put it.
Very good place to put it. That scene is so funny to me. Like,
that scene is hilarious.
Boone hits the sand in such a staged way. Like, it's so badly done.
He does. He clearly was standing behind that camera. Like, I did a fake fall once for a video, like a short film my friend was making, and I knelt down. So I didn't fall from standing. I, like, knelt down off camera, and then she started filming and then went, okay, go. And then I, like, fell forwards.
Yeah.
That is what it looked like.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the whole concept is so funny because it's like, poor Boone. Like, he's...
Yeah, but why does he steal the water?
Because he thinks he's up there with Kate and Saeed and John. In Boone's mind, he's in charge.
He thinks he's the main character.
He thinks he's the main character of the show. He is like, he went out to save Joanna, and he was helping Jack in, like, the first episode with all the people who were ill, who were injured, and he was like, you know... He's in charge of... He's like, if Jack's gone and no one else is going to take charge, I'm going to be in charge of the water. He's trying so hard.
Yeah. You know that Nadja quote where she's like, oh God, you're so pathetic.
Yeah.
He's so pathetic.
He is. He's trying his best. He's doing his best. He's not doing a very good job. No one respects him. And I think he needs to accept that.
Oh my God, his hissy fit earlier in the episode. I run a business. That was so funny to me. I run a business.
Why does that matter? We're on an island.
I run a business.
What are you going to do? Call your board members and get them to bring us a helicopter? What does running a business have to do with anything?
He's got his flip phone.
He has got his flip phone. Maybe that's who he was calling.
He can page them.
Send over a fax. On desert island, help.
Oh my God.
He's struggling so hard for people to respect him, and no one is doing it. Mm-hmm. Not even Shannon. No one. No one respects Boone.
Respect. Shannon has the least respect for him out of all the characters, I'd say.
I think out of everyone, probably.
Oh my God, let's talk about Shannon in this episode. Where the fuck did she get those earrings from?
What were her earrings?
She had massive hoop earrings in.
Did she?
And like a tiny pastel green skirt.
I mean, the tiny skirt was an interesting choice. Shannon,
like, what the fuck is that outfit? First of all, an awful outfit. Second of all, not a desert island outfit at all. Where did you find these?
It's not a tropical island outfit, but something I did appreciate is that she didn't have any shoes on, because it's something I talked about like 2 episodes ago, was that they all insist on keeping their shoes on the beach, and they're probably full of sand, and it's probably really uncomfortable. So I appreciated that she'd taken her shoes off.
So you noticed the shoes, but not the massive fucking hoop earrings.
Well, because they do have a tendency to start at the feet with Shannon, don't they?
They do.
filmed her from foot upwards, and I noticed that, and then that was really kind of it.
I know that I have hoop earrings in right now, but I'm not a hypocrite, because I'm not a himbo or a hypocrite, because these are barbed wire hoops, so they're cool, okay? Shannon's hoops are not cool.
I mean, how has she found the time to change her earrings?
Literally. Who thinks, do you know what?
I'm gonna put
earrings. Do you know what
earrings
the situation calls for? Hoops. It was a scene with my two worsties.
It was a scene, I think, that should have died on the editing room floor.
I think it
should have been clipped out and left on the floor. I didn't like it.
No.
Oh yes, something I noticed in this episode, which I remembered we were going to discuss, is there was a noticeable cut to ads. And I mentioned in episode 1 that in the pilot it's quite noticeable when they cut to ads, and that I think as it goes on it gets less noticeable. There's one moment where Jack runs off after Christian, and he's still like back, and he reaches out to like touch him, and then Christian turns around and he like falls backwards, and he's like, "Dad?" And then it cuts, and then it immediately comes back again on just a slightly different shot of Jack's face on the floor. And I was like, that was an ad break.
Ad break.
And I haven't had any others. I haven't noticed any others in what we've watched so far. Because I think generally it's just in between...
scenes.
In between, like, flashbacks
Yeah.
and regular scenes. But that was... I noticed that and I thought I'd bring that back because I said I was going to mention it if I saw any others.
No,
and I did.
Thank you so much for sharing, honestly.
You're so welcome.
Now I've got a couple random notes here. Like, that bit where Hurley looks at Jack and just goes, "Whoa!" That really got me today.
That did really make me giggle. You look tired, dude. I'm fine.
Jack's just experiencing the horrors in this episode, for real.
Poor Jack, honestly. A little scene that I really found funny in this episode was between Saeed and the Korean. It was like, where did you get this? Saeed, she understands me. Where did you get this? I'm like, why are you so convinced?
I love that bit too. One thing I love about that is that the husband, like, points and then they all turn.
Yeah.
I just love it because it's so dramatic and so accusatory. It's like, you know, it's really fun. The slow head turn. Oh, that man is so handsome. I'm sorry. I'm going to be talking about this a lot, but like, Daniel Day Kim, if you're free on Thursday night, I'm also free on Thursday night.
Yeah, but this haircut is not a good look on him. His hair's really short.
He does look better when his hair gets longer, but like when he turns his head like that, you just get the light glistening off his cheekbones. Oh, it's beautiful.
I can't say I noticed, really.
Saeed's looking good too in this scene.
Saeed's always looking good.
He is.
That's just standard.
Just a fact. But yeah, I love the bit where he goes, "A rat will always lead you to its hole." Hilarious line. Incredible line. Obsessed with her.
Yeah. Saeed's got some banger one-liners.
Oh, definitely. What was the one in the first episode? Like, "Thank you so much for observing my behaviour."
Thank you so much for observing my behaviour. That was when Sawyer was accusing him of being a terrorist.
"A rat will always lead you to its hole." So funny. I love it. Oh my gosh. The next note I have on here, we're skipping ahead to the next scene with Saeed and Kate and Sawyer. When Sawyer gives Kate the Marshal's badge.
Oh.
That's such a fun little moment.
That
it's
is
like,
a fun moment.
Bro does not understand the depths.
Yeah, because he doesn't know,
No.
does he?
No.
Unless, like I said, someone heard Jack screaming about it. But he doesn't know. He knows that the Marshal's dead, and he took his badge because he thought it was cool, didn't he? He said so in the pilot.
To be like, since you're the sheriff around
Since
here.
you're the new sheriff in town.
I was like, damn.
Think she kept it?
I think so.
To remember him by.
Yeah.
Besties.
No, it's just like, sometimes we've literally just been saying how much the writing annoys us, but sometimes I'm like, do you know what, writers? You win this round.
Sometimes the writing really hits. No, you're right.
One other random thing is when Jack is all delirious in the jungle, did you notice that the green kind of goes a bit grey?
Oh, does
like
it?
Like the colours kind of fade to grayscale a little bit. And I was like, oh damn, that's cool.
Fun. That's fun. I like that. But you know, maybe I wasn't paying attention to the sun glistening off of Daniel Day Kim's head because I was too busy enjoying Delirious Jack.
What a sentence.
That should be the title of this episode. It's a bit long.
Hey, you know, we're allowed to have a long title once in a while, as a little treat.
As a treat.
One other scene, sorry, this is a massive segue. We're jumping around today. You guys are on board at this point. What, we've been talking to you for like an hour. Girl, you know.
It's okay.
I actually really, as much as we were talking about how we start getting Kate and Claire, and it's like, yes, I often think that Kate and Claire as a couple makes a lot more sense than Claire and Charlie. Mm-hmm. However, we do have a nice scene between them two.
There was. I think Charlie, the thing about Charlie and Claire is I really like them early on. I think they go a bit weird the more the show goes on.
You can say that again.
They go a bit weird the more the show goes on.
You can say that again.
They go a bit weird. I'm not.
We should loop that like we loop Jack falling down the hill.
I'm not going to beat the dead horse. But I think Charlie and Claire are really nice early on because Claire's right. A lot of people treat her, they look at the belly and they focus on the fact that she's pregnant. And even like all of her nice interactions, like there's the really nice scene between her and Hurley where he's giving her the food, but it's like he's giving her extra food because she's pregnant.
Yeah.
She's right. A lot of them kind of see that and they see her as this kind of, they have to protect her and they have to keep her out of danger. And Charlie is just talking to her like she's a normal person, and it's really nice. I think you get a good look at Charlie's tattoo.
You do?
In this episode, which that is just Dom Monaghan's real tattoo, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's a quote from a Beatles song?
Yeah, I think so.
Not
a clue which one.
I was going to try and write it down, but I couldn't read the words very well. Yeah, it was a really nice scene between Charlie and Claire.
I like the bit where he's like, me personally, I only have room for 200 knives. 300 knives max.
I like it. I like when he jokes around because I know, you know, like he's just trying to make everyone, you know,
and also
feel a bit better.
I love Claire's like cut on her chin.
Yeah, her little like scrape.
It's really cool.
It's a fun placement. I think we get a bit of healing. In this episode, we've moved into the healing process of the cuts and the scars and stuff.
I thought that Kate had a new one. Did you see that? She's got
on her cheek. Yes, that's from the boar hunting. Do you remember when Jack manhandles her?
Oh yeah. I was thinking. I swear she didn't have that before, but no, that is actually
she gets it when they're boar hunting.
I think the makeup department on this show.
Oh, incredible!
They are so on it in terms of like the fading of scars, the acquisition of new scars.
No, they're brilliant. Even with things like, you know, the sweat and the dirt and stuff. They talk in one of the behind the scenes videos, I don't know what it is, about like the sweat spray that they have to get like spritzed with this like sheen before they film anything, and they keep making jokes about how they can't act without it and stuff. But like they're really like,
which is crazy because you'd imagine they'd be sweating anyway.
I know, but they have to make it artistic sweating.
Oh yes, of course.
The makeup department is so on it with that kind of thing.
It's only a shame they were let down by the costume department washing all of the white shirts. But what are you gonna do?
It's like the opposite of the red sock getting in there. Like, who washed the white clothes? John should not be that clean.
We're gonna have to re-dirty them now. They do get re-dirtied.
I mean, they get sufficiently re-dirtied across the show, rest assured. Mm-hmm. Another random little bit that I had written down for this episode that I forgot to bring up earlier is the scene between Jack and his mum, which obviously we've discussed. There's a little line in there where she goes, you know, something to do with you have to go and get him, like, you shouldn't expect him to be talking to you, not after what you did.
I wrote this down too. I wrote it down exactly. You don't get to say, I can't, after what you did. What did he do?
What did Jack do?
I genuinely don't remember.
Much like the short film by David Lynch, What Did Jack Do? In which a monkey confesses to crimes. Or something. I don't really remember it.
Okay.
What did Jack do?
I genuinely don't
remember what Jack did. But
do you?
Yes.
Does it come up in the show?
Yes.
Because I was like...
It does come up. We get it, I think, halfway through this series.
Oh.
I'll tell you when we've turned this off.
No, don't. I want to leave it as a surprise. But I was genuinely like, oh, so this is just extra lore that they've added in.
They never came back to.
They never explained.
No, it does get explained. I promise you. There's a lot of things that don't get explained in this show, but we will get that question answered.
Okay. Okay, well that's exciting for me.
Can look forward to that one.
Look forward to that.
But I was just like, that's a little like, oh, maybe Jack's not this perfect guy that we thought he was. What did he do?
Clearly it's something bad enough for him to make him feel guilty to go enough
Guilty enough to go, and for his dad to not want to speak to him and all of that. What happened?
I mean, I'm literally clueless. The way that you're like, ooh, and I'm just like, I have no idea.
I'm trying to drop hints, but you're just not remembering. It's fine. So the last thing,
The very end of the episode?
yes, that I think we need to discuss, because we watched the episode this morning and we talked about the end, and Ariel said something along the lines of what a shit ending.
Yeah.
And I said I disagree. And then I went, but we'll talk about it later. So here we are.
For the pod.
Talking about it. So the last couple lines of the episode are, Jack and Kate by the fire.
Well, hang on, let's talk about Jack's speech first.
Oh my god, of course we completely skipped over Jack's speech.
Oh my god, of course! Oh my god!
How stupid of me.
Yeah.
It's a great
We're gonna die alone. We're going to die.
If we don't live together, we're gonna die alone.
Yeah, so that's a really good speech. Obviously, we've had the whole episode, Jack's been going through his sort of crisis, being like, I don't want to be the leader, why do I have to be the leader? And also being delirious and also hallucinating or seeing the real ghost or whatever of his dad. He's been going through a lot this episode. And then suddenly, boom, he returns and it's like, Jack is back, we now have direction, Backstreet's back, alright. And then he gives this great speech.
You know what I think is great about it as well?
Yeah.
Is that he comes back really collected. Like, all the other times he's forced to make decisions, even before this episode, it's very much like, I don't know, just, why don't we try this thing, why don't we try this thing? That then, he seems to have he's found this closure on smashing up the coffin, and he's like, okay, I'm calm, I can be rational about this, I'm gonna make a nice... Mm-hmm. I really enjoy how calm he is about it.
It really is. I had to go feral in the forest for a bit, but I'm normal again.
Yeah.
It really is.
Sorry, I'm normal. He's like, sorry guys, I can be in charge now. I just had to go crazy.
Take a minute. Just had to take a breather. Yeah. And he delivers this great speech, which I think it's definitely a turning point in the show. It's very famous. It gets quoted a lot, used in other, previously on. It's a classic previously on quote.
Oh, yeah.
And it's used in a lot of sort of fan edits and things like that. It's kind of like an iconic speech from the show, if there is one, it's probably this. And I do think it is really good. And it's kind of he is very collected, but he's also, there's a hint of kind of disappointment. And just guys, we're not getting rescued.
Yeah,
this is kind of the point.
It's the moment where they all acknowledge the thing that they've been thinking about for all this time, which is that no one's coming to get them. There's a few times across this episode, and I think the last episode as well, where a couple of characters just go, what if no one comes for us?
Yeah.
Is someone coming? When are they going to come for us? And this is the moment where I think it's all been very much don't think that, we're going to be fine. Then Jack finally just goes, listen,
it's been 6 days. Yeah.
We have to operate now under the assumption that no one's coming.
Yeah. So, of course, it's a narrative turning point.
Hugely. And you know what I thought, actually, something that kind of I only really got this time, is that, of live together, die alone, and if we can't live together, we're gonna die alone. That quote is such an iconic thing.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's used in all the edits, it's quoted all the time, it's in all the previously ons. That I never really truly appreciated the significance of it in that moment. Because also, he's kind of talking about his dad.
I guess he is.
And how his dad couldn't love his son properly and couldn't stay with his wife, and he died alone, drunk in Australia with no one.
Wow.
And that he's kind of, I think it's a bit of an acknowledgement of Jack doesn't want to be like him.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to run away from the people that need him in the way that his dad did.
Wow, that's deep, but true. Yeah. And also the way of it being like he's responsible for one of their deaths, like that morning, Joanna.
Yeah.
You know, that's still on his mind. I love the random sort of throwaway where they go, there's not going to be enough water for 43 of us, and he goes 42.
I think it's 47 and 46, but yeah.
Shut up, okay? I tried to do this cool thing.
Because there was 48 survivors, and then the marshal died, and then Joanna died. So I think it's 46.
Okay.
But yeah, I agree with you though.
Yeah. Wow.
It's really powerful.
Yeah, so my issue with the ending, the very end, is because they have this crazy moment which has all of these layers, as you've just been explaining, and then they kind of just undercut it with the conversation with Kate.
I think the thing about that scene is, first of all, we've had like 3 episodes end that way now.
Yes.
With Jack and Kate sitting on the beach having a conversation.
It's like, we get it, they're the main characters.
It's like, you know, at the end of the kids show where like the main character comes back on and it's like, let's talk about the day we've had. That they're like...
Imagine if they did that for Lost.
Today I had an adventure.
A woman died.
Yeah, kind of is a bit of a convention of the episodes we've had.
Yeah.
And I think it's a bit of a parallel in From Tabula Rasa of, you know, I don't need to know what you did. It's really significant for Kate to not have to tell Jack what she did, but it is more significant for Jack to be able to tell Kate what happened to him.
Because he's finally opening up.
Because he's able to have that vulnerability and not be like the hero that everyone comes to with their problems, and he's able to say, this is my thing, this is why I've been acting insane today.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is what's happened to me.
Yes, but I don't know. I think it's because it's a bit cliche, in my opinion, to say, I'm sorry, yeah, I'm sorry too.
See, I would argue that that's not cliche. I'm saying I'm sorry upon hearing about someone's death is like instinct. It's like the script.
I'm not saying that's cliche.
No.
Giving condolences is actually really cringe. No.
That's like the script, you know? And I think I'm sorry too. I don't hear as much as a response. It's usually just like a thank you.
Yeah, no, I don't mean in real life.
Okay.
I mean on TV.
I don't think I've ever really heard it.
I definitely have.
And I think, like, also, you know, he doesn't seem to like his dad very much. He doesn't seem to want to, you know... He's chasing him because he needs to see, you know, needs to see him and stuff. I think it's like an acceptance that he is dead as well.
I don't think it is. I think it falls flat, in my opinion. It's just not like the dynamic ending I was hoping
It's not
for.
like a crazy amazing ending, but I don't think it's a bad ending. If they'd ended it on the speech, I think that would be a bit too dramatic of an ending. I think that would be a bit like, oh, da 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 da. It would be like, you know, like the moment before the curtains go down for the interval of a play.
Yeah.
Like it feels a bit like, oh, now we've made it to this big moment. And I think you needed to bring that tension down a little bit. That, like, excitement down a little bit before the episode ended.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. I can definitely see where you're coming from. I'm not sure.
Like, maybe that scene wasn't exactly what was needed, but I think a little scene was necessary to end that.
Yeah. What they should have done is another montage where it's like, he says, like, we're gonna die alone, and then, like, a song just cuts in and it's like, well, shit, so then they all just go about their evening duties.
Depressed montage. That could have been fun, actually. And so those are all my thoughts on this episode.
My thoughts on this episode is I missed the previous one.
I missed Tabula Rasa.
No.
I really love
this episode.
I really love this episode. I think it's quite a good one. I think also what's great about the flashbacks in this episode is that they don't reveal anything massively revolutionary. I think the Kate flashbacks and the John flashbacks are like huge seismic shift on how you perceive this character.
Yeah.
And with these ones, it's a bit more, it's almost an antithesis to that, because it's a bit more of a confirmation of what we already know.
Maybe that's why I find them less exciting.
Maybe.
I'm just like, you know, it's not a bombshell.
Because I think instead of finding out, oh my god, Jack's secretly, I don't know, a horrible person.
Yeah.
Or he's secretly, you know, in disguise. It's like, it's going, you know, he is who we thought he was. He is a really, you know...
Yeah.
A nice guy, and he does want to help people, and he is, you know... He does have what it takes to be the leader.
Yeah. I guess the point of... What do you think the point of the flashbacks in this episode are?
I mean, I think the point of the flashbacks partially are just to establish the reason he was in Australia.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of what the initial flashbacks are for.
Which is really exciting for me. I love finding out why they were all in Australia. It's like, you know, like ticking off the little bingo card, you know?
Do we know why they were there, why they got on the plane? And for most of them, I think the first thing we see of them is why they were in Australia.
Yeah.
And so we get that, and we get... I think the point of the flashbacks also is to explain the hallucinations. But I think in terms of like I said, I think in terms of a thematic point, like I think the thematic point of the Kate flashbacks is to say that, the moral standards that we hold people to in the real world are not the moral standards we hold people to in this world.
Yeah, agreed.
And so I would say that the reason for the Jack flashbacks is to say, you know, he is the hero, which is what we see him as in this world, and he is the hero despite what he thinks of himself, and despite what other people have said, you know, to him, and that he is who we think he is, and he's not gonna come out with something evil.
Yeah, I mean, I'm convinced by that, but I'm just like, okay. Do you know?
I agree with you, it's not as exciting, and I think also it's important that Jack isn't a really exciting character. That sounds really mean, but you know what I mean? Like, I think it's important.
The main character is always the most boring character, and I think actually Jack is much more interesting than a lot of main characters of various
definitely. 100%. I think, because the main character is obviously, it's how you experience, as the viewer, how you experience the world, so often they have the least interesting life. But yeah, I think Jack is the hero in that sense. He's the main character, he's the most, I mean, definitely out of the 3 backstories we've learnt so far, it's been the least insane and, you know, mind-blowing. But I also think it's important that we get his backstory early on. You know, I think if we'd gotten 10 episodes down the line...
Oh, yeah. No, you
and then we
definitely
hadn't had a Jack episode yet, we'd be like, when are we going to learn anything about this guy?
Yeah, no, you definitely need
We need
Jack.
to learn about him early on, even if he wasn't in a wheelchair and he wasn't arrested.
Yeah. Although I will say, I do remember getting annoyed. This is foreshadowing what is to come. But I remember getting annoyed that we get a second Jack flashback episode before we get some of the characters first.
Yes.
I was like, oh, so why does he get 2? And the rest of us don't get any.
That is true. But also I think, upon first viewing, there are a lot of characters you don't think ever will have flashback episodes that do. And I won't name names because I don't want to ruin it for people. But I remember like talking to Dad and we were on like episode 6, probably this episode or something, and we were talking about how crazy all the flashbacks were, and he said like, oh, this character's flashbacks are going to blow your mind. And we both went, oh my god, they get an episode? And Mum was like, don't tell them anything. And it was like,
this is a running theme in our house as well. When we were watching it for the first time, our dad would just be on the verge of spoiling something and our mum would be like, shut up! Be quiet, honestly.
Oftentimes, though, her saying that would be
Make
worse.
it worse!
Because like,
Make it worse!
he will make like an innocuous comment
Yeah.
about like a character trait, and then she'll be like, don't draw attention to it! And I'm like, okay, well now I know it's
now
really important.
you've drawn attention to it, yeah! So funny.
It is funny. And I think, yeah, I don't remember being annoyed about it, but I do agree that I think a lot of characters we get too many flashbacks for, and a lot of characters we get not enough flashbacks for.
Agreed.
And that is definitely a running theme across the entire show, where they feel the need, I think, to keep all the main characters incredibly relevant.
Yeah.
And they don't have to be.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you can take a day off, Jack. go have a lie down. The others can deal with this.
Well, that's kind of what this episode was, in a way.
It is, sort of. I mean, that's what he gets with Rose, isn't it? He gets to take a day off.
Yeah, he does.
He gets to go and just sit with her.
But again, that's also quite intense. He takes a day off in an intense way. He's like the kind of guy who, on his day off, would get up at 6 a.m. to go hike up Mount Everest or something.
Yeah.
Go walk the 3 peaks. My friend did that. We just finished our exams, and my friend was like, right, I'm going back home to walk the 3 peaks. And I was like, why?
I'm so sorry that happened to them.
I know.
My ideal day off starts with waking up and it's 11:45.
Or later.
And then I lay in bed until later.
Very nice. You get a little phone in bed time.
Look at phone in bed time. Jack is not a look at phone in bed guy.
No. He's really not.
He reads the newspaper in bed.
The most savage burn you could ever deal out. So real.
And on that thrilling note,
yeah,
I think we're
done.
Finished.
We are indeed.
I have nothing else. I like this episode. I don't have any really closing thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, I stand by what I said at the start of the episode. I think talking about it with you just now has made me sort of like it a bit more and appreciate that it has some really fun episodes.
That's because I appreciate Jack more than anyone else in the world.
That's correct. But I still don't think it's one of my faves. But I think it's a decent... it's not a bad episode. There are some actively bad ones.
There are some episodes I'm dreading watching, and not in a good way.
Why would that ever be in a good way?
Well, there's a couple episodes that I'm like, it's really like heart-wrenching and upsetting to watch.
Oh, okay. Yeah, got you.
And in that sense, I don't want to watch them, but it's because
good.
they're good, but they're good in a way, in the sense that they're really sad or they're really, upsetting. But there are some episodes that I just don't want to watch because they're bad.
Mm-hmm. And this isn't one of them.
This is not one of them.
It's a decent episode.
Yeah, I mean, it's not in my top 10. It's not in my top 20.
5 out of 10.
I wouldn't give it a 5 out of 10. I give it a 7 out of 10.
Okay. Well, I'd probably give it a... Yeah, 7 out of 10 feels right, actually.
7 out of 10 feels correct, I think.
Yeah. So that's our definitive, answer on this episode. 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10.
That's our closing thought.
And...
Thank you very much for listening.
Yeah, thank you. Let us know what your rating of this episode is.
Oh, yeah, that'd be fun.
How would you rate White Rabbit out of 10?
Mm-hmm.
Let us know.
We are lostallcaps-podcast on all the social medias.
Yep. We're on Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, Tumblr, Instagram, Facebook.
Yeah.
Is that all of them?
Yeah, that's all of them. Follow me on Instagram at Ariel Hebditch.
And at Velvet Hebditch.
I'll be doing stand-up gigs and exciting things with my comedy troupe at Spruce Moose Comedy. I'll be doing all sorts, so you can see what I'm up to on
And I won't.
there.
Because I don't do anything with my life. But you can follow me anyway and see what I'm getting up to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much.
We will be with you next week for episode 6, which is House of the Rising
Sun.
Sun.
Oh my god, I can't believe we forgot to say, we find out Sun's name in this episode.
Did we?
Yes! Yeah, because Walt, really offhandedly, says he's brushing his teeth with the toothpaste that she makes, and Michael goes, where did you get that? And he goes, from Sun, the Korean lady. And I was like, the way it's revealed so casually.
I didn't even notice.
The struggle that we have been on trying not to say
their names.
Oh my god. It's like, it's been so hard.
I was like, when do we get to House of the Rising Sun? Because then we can finally...
say their names. The cutting room floor is full of us going, Sun. Oh fuck, sorry. And John as well before we got John's name.
So many of them. In the pilot was really difficult because we had to keep being like, this guy.
This human
What's
being.
his deal? And I'm like, I know exactly what his deal is. I've had 6 seasons of his deal. I know exactly what John Locke's vibe is. I've had 6 seasons of it.
I know exactly what his deal is.
So we'll see you next week. Thank you so much.
For more Sun discussion.
For more Sun discussion.
I can't wait. I love next week's episode.
It's a really good episode. Thank you so much and goodbye.
Ta-ta.
Da-dun.